Welcome to Smart Investing with Philippe. This is time for the market update. But before doing that, please subscribe, push the like button, and leave a comment to help me increase the audience of this channel and help me build this new community of investors and be successful together. Let's get into it. Okay, first let's start with QQQ. QQQ positive today, 0.57 is not a dramatic increase of the market, but still very positive because you can see yesterday candle was like a hammer candle, but very positive hammer candle. And actually today we just get a candle that is a slight uptick to the yesterday candle, which is quite good because it shows that the market upside is actually continuing from the yesterday movement and then gap up movement. But you can see that the 200 moving average about 494 is the resistance level, and hopefully if we close tomorrow and the following days above the 200 moving average, then the next target will be 510 for the QQQ. Having said that, I told you that the RSI now is neutral, so it's around 50. And you can see that the overall market is more quiet because the VIX has come down again today at 2%, slightly closing below the 200 moving average, which is all good signs all together. That's really show that the market is becoming more quiet, more confident, and less volatile, and all the uncertainty seems to be baked in already in the price and the downside movement of the last few weeks. When it comes down to the SPY, S&P 500, you can see that S&P 500 is even more positive than the QQQ because it actually closed higher than the 200 moving average. The candle is clearly higher than the one of yesterday, which was a big red candle that we saw yesterday, plus a big gap up. And what we can observe today is this candle is a doji. It's kind of a doji. Doji is a type of candle that show uncertainty and lack of direction, because you can see clearly all the buy and sell meet above that closing price, and all the buy and sell below the closing price is actually met very clearly. So that means the buyers and sellers are balancing and they don't know exactly whether the price should go up or should go down, and just actually was clearly closed in the middle of that doji. So that's really show a bit of uncertainty in the buy and sell side, and also the sellers and the buyers are watching each other to see where the movement will go next. IWM clearly today is slightly negative, but actually the market is closing a bit like 50% from the candle of yesterday, which shows that basically it's just a retest of 50% of the candle of yesterday, and it's not very bearish at all. What I should say is that the IWM is actually showing a bit of consolidation from yesterday movement and gap up movement, but it doesn't mean that it will come down again to the lowest level. So we have to watch out exactly what will happen with IWM in the next few days. But you can see RSI, the moving average is moving up or moving upwards, and you can see clearly that the level is around 50. TLT, nothing really changed today. TLT is pretty flat, 0.001%, which really clearly show that there is a lack of direction in the market, and market participants are really waiting what's the next movement and what will be the next movement over the coming days and week, especially from the Fed or from the economic data point. So this is a kind of wait and see positioning from the bond market. When it comes to Max 7, you can see continuing its movement up, plus 1.21%, and particularly due to quite a good increase from Tesla. It's a follow-up increase from the last few days. You can see when the bottom was reached at 222, now we have already increased by 30%. You see how fast it can go for a stock like Tesla. It can really drop massively, very, very, very fast, but also it can do the other way around extremely fast as well. So it's extremely volatile. But the good news for Tesla is that it closes above the 200 moving average, which is always a good sign to close above the 200 moving average, because that very strong resistance is not going to impact it anymore. So the next target will be to reach the 55 moving average, which is about $336. So RSI now is neither oversold or neither overbought, is around 50, and it's all good for Tesla, at least for the time being. All the Max 7 were positive, nothing really to notice, and you can see that Nvidia also is slightly down, but nothing very dramatic, and it also sharply moved up from the low of 103. Now we are trading around 120. Coming down to stock specific, the one that we follow regularly, AMD positive today with 0.84% up. You can see clear bottoming process around the Fibonacci retracement of 0.78 from the low of 2023, and you can see that we rebounded sharply, and the next resistance level will be the 0.61 Fibonacci level at 123. So that's the next target for AMD. Clearly it closed above the 55 moving average, but still clearly below the 200 moving average. But being above the 55 moving average is a good sign, because usually the institutional investor are waiting that the stock price go above the 55 moving average over the 50 moving average if you select the 50 as opposed to 55 moving average, but it doesn't really matter. Then the institutional investor lack that support or technical or technical support before to go in the stock again or start to buy in the stock again. So that's a good point for AMD. You can see Coinbase not moving much. Donald Trump Media Technology Group company is actually starting to recover slightly from the bottom of 19, but nothing major. Palantir, nothing major as well. Nothing has changed. SMCI the same, still hovering the $40 range and waiting a breakup or a breakdown of that level. But I think the probability for a breakup is much higher for that than the probability for a breakdown, because even though that we have a huge selling pressure in the market, we didn't manage to go lower than the $40. So clearly, I don't think we're going to see SMCI going much lower than $40. Sorry. Bitcoin slightly up today, but I would say it's mostly flat, closing well above the 200 moving average, which is a good sign also for Bitcoin. And what we can see also is gold is positive, still reaching very close to the all-time highs, and I'm probably going to continue its moving upwards, considering the geopolitical risk, and a lot of central banks around the world are buying gold, which is extremely bullish for gold actually. Other than that, if you look at other stocks, Nike just stabilizing from the downside of the earning call. It's quite a good price to enter into the stock of Nike. I will probably do a specific video about Nike. This is one of the stocks that I've invested quite a lot. And I will make a video about my investment case about Nike and why it is very interesting and quite a unique opportunity to invest in Nike right now, especially at the level of $66. Remember that during the COVID time, when the world was almost ending, we were around that 66, 60 range. And we talk about the worst case scenario during the COVID time. I think the situation is not at all the same situation as COVID time for Nike. And it's probably a unique opportunity to enter and invest in one of the best brands in the world and one of the best business model in the world. Of course, it had a lot of challenges in the last few years. But we will see now why it might be showing a turnaround with the change of CEO, change of management, and also the change of strategy that they want to implement. So let's see now in the next video what will be the investment case for NVDA. Otherwise, that's pretty it for the market today. We're going to see what has been the economic data for today. So what is interesting today is the consumer confidence is 92.9 and slightly lower than the forecasted of 94 and lower than the prior number of the consumer confidence of 100. So the consumer confidence, of course, is actually very weak at the moment, but it's also due to the uncertainty of the market and the uncertainty of the tariffs, uncertainty about the economy, but also if you have the wealth effect. If the market crash or correct quite significantly, people feel a bit less wealthy and they are less inclined to be confident about spending and all this stuff. So there is a link between the two. What is also worth noticing is the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index. We were expecting a number of 8 and we came up with a -4, which is a very big difference between the forecasted number and the prior number of about 6 to a manufacturing of 4. You can see the evolution over time. We had a negative manufacturing index evolving to being positive in February 2025, and now we come back to a negative Fed manufacturing index. So it shows that basically that the manufacturing and manufacturing sector is weakening. Money supply still the same, 21.67 trillion, slightly higher than the prior number of 21.56 trillion. Tomorrow, what we would expect is nothing really interesting, but Thursday, definitely you have the very important core PCE and GDP growth rate and GDP sales and initial jobless claim and all the inflation numbers. So that means that is going to be a very important day. Now, if we look at the headlines, let's see if the headline has changed or continue to be bearish or bullish. Stock Heckhout gain as tech drive late day bonds. US Cooper hit a record high on tariff bet, halted shipment. Wall Street sees stock growth ending, while European rivals are not so sure. Hold deep as traders assess impact of ceasefire on Russian flow. Double line chairman is playing defense as tariff oil buoyant. Tracking every Trump tariff and its economic effect. So basically, nothing really changed from yesterday headline. Still very positive. They think that overall the route, the market, the equity downfall is actually over, and we might be reaching a low, and now we're starting to be seeing a rebound. So the fact that the headlines are becoming less fear-mongering and clickbait on the fears about the investors, that's a very positive sign on the market, because you can see a change of narratives and a change of sentiment starting to build in to the market narratives and the market, and that's always positive when you have a shift of narrative from being extremely negative to being neutral and probably starting to be a bit more positive in the coming days. But I think they are waiting for the April 2nd deadline of Mr. Donald Trump to be more on the positive side and stay a bit neutral or slightly positive right now. Anyway, volatility came down dramatically, the stock market rebounded, and we are well above the lows that we've seen over the last week and the week before. So that's all positive for the market. So again, thanks so much for watching the market update. When there is not much to say, sometimes it's better to make it short. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and make a comment. Thanks so much for all the subscribers who subscribe to this channel. For those who are watching the channel and who have not subscribed, please help me to build this channel and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and it's extremely important and very appreciated. Thanks so much. Have a good evening. Bye.